Hey, welcome. Thank you so much for coming to my first podcast. This is the Lichen Sclerosus podcast, my weekly journal of living with and learning about lichen sclerosus. If you don't know what lichen sclerosus is, I don't know how you found this podcast, but just in case, lichen sclerosus, according to the front page of Google and the Mayo Clinic, which that's as far as I've gotten so far, is an uncommon, some call it autoimmune disease, some call it disorder. But anyway, it's uncommon, it's rare. Let's just call it autoimmune for now, disease that causes your genitals to get white and patchy. It can be painful. It's embarrassing. It is not fun. And as of right now, it is uncurable. So this is a life sentence. It's sad. That's what it is. And unfortunately, I got it. The only other things I know about lichen sclerosus is that there are fewer than 200,000 U.S. cases per year. They use a steroid treatment to treat the disease that you're supposed to put on your genitals when you have an outbreak, which is not ideal because, as we all know, every medication has side effects. So imagine having to put this thing in your very sensitive places for the rest of your life. Not fun. I'm sure if you are here, you also have this disease, disorder, whatever. Because I don't see how, unless you're a doctor, you found me. But anyway, that's pretty much all I know. And I was diagnosed almost exactly 2 years ago. And it was after being misdiagnosed for about 5 years. I went to 3 or 4 different gynecologists and I was told a bunch of different stories. It got to a tipping point where I had to do something. Somebody had to tell me something. I just couldn't take it no more. I went back to my original doctor, and thankfully, I was seen by someone different, someone who actually gave a damn, and she figured out what I had. She gave me my medicine, and within a couple of days, I was better. I will get into the whole discovery story because it's long and I think it deserves its own episode, but that is how I was finally diagnosed. And like I said, I've been living with this for 2 years. And recently it has gotten worse. For 2 years, the steroids doing its job, keeping the outbreaks in check. And about 2 weeks ago, it exploded. Okay, let's just do it. Let's just say what it is. It exploded. I got a long, I don't know how to describe it, welt. It was painful in a very sensitive area. Actually, it was preceded by a lesion in a separate area of the very sensitive area. And then it kind of started to freak me out. My guess is if you're here listening to me that you've also experienced some of these symptoms. And while I was experiencing these things, I really had no one to talk to. I didn't want to speak to my husband. I was a bit embarrassed, which is sad because I speak to my husband about everything. And I knew I could go to him, but I also knew he couldn't understand. he wouldn't be able to get what I was feeling. And those are things too that you don't really want to show the person that you're supposed to be having sex with, because just like childbirth can freak some guys out when they see, a baby coming out, you don't want to be seeing no lesions on your, significant other's privates. But in the end, I did go to him, and he was a trooper, as he always is, and he supported me, and we spoke about it. And, I told him I wanted to start this podcast so that I could find my community that I can talk to openly and that can share and understand what it is that I'm feeling. So I'm hoping that you'll be part of my community, because I need you, and I hope you need me, because we need to be able to talk to somebody about this without the stigma, without feeling embarrassed and not sure of how somebody's going to receive it. This is a life sentence. I am only 42 years old. I'm young. I've been living with this thing for the last 7 years. I have a long life to live. And it's not fair that I don't have anyone to speak to, that I have to go through this alone. So I'm hoping that you will talk to me. I need somebody to talk to. So that's what this is all about. Lichen sclerosus is a life sentence of embarrassment, pain, just all around, just not goodness. And I'd like to find information that might help us, make it a bit easier to live with. Because right now, I feel like I'm doing the bare minimum. And while that worked for 2 years, I don't know if my body's getting used to the steroids. I don't know if maybe it was just, time for that outbreak. But I don't want to keep going through that. And I'm sure you don't either. So every week, I'm going to look into a piece of information and bring that to you so that we can learn together. I've seen some ebooks out there. There's plenty. Well, I wouldn't say plenty, because for whatever reason, which we all know, it's a ladies' issue mostly. So it ain't getting much research, but we ain't gonna go into that right now. Anywho, there's not a lot of information on this. There's not a lot of research going into it that I've seen. But then again, I have only been to the front page of Google. But the point of this podcast is I'm going to dig deeper so that we have the information we need, and maybe we can force something. Who knows what this can grow into? If we find each other, who knows what we can do together? Now, I did try to join some Facebook groups, and understandably, they ask you some questions to vet you, make sure that you are on the up and up and you ain't in there trying to just troll somebody, or just you got some fetish and you want to hear people talking about their genitals. I get that. Totally respect that. Answered all the questions, waited, nothing. My community didn't even accept me. Why? I'm a nice person. I'd like to talk. Why you don't want me? I want to talk to you. So let's start our community. All inclusive. I want to talk to everybody who is suffering from this, because I don't want to be a sufferer no more. I want to be a survivor. I want to be a teacher. I want to learn. And hopefully we'll figure this thing out and eventually they'll get a freaking cure for us. Anyway, that's why we're here. And that is why every week I will be back and hopefully you will be back and we can go on this journey together and we don't have to be alone anymore. No more. So if you want to talk and you want to, get to know me, share your story, please email me at Lichen Sclerosus podcast at google.com. Check out the website at lichensclerosuspodcast.com for the show notes. Every week I will be posting the links to whatever research I did. And let's start talking to each other. Let's, cut the solo act. Because I don't want to be lonely no more. I look forward to hearing from you and seeing you next week or talking to you next week. And let's see what we can learn and figure out. All right. Bye.